Okay, I'm starting to slide the boot cowl on. So what I did is I've actually got my engine mount here ready, and I have got the bolts kind of picked out per the manual. I've sanded off all the front edges where it's going to mount to here. And then on the back side of the boot cowl, you can see we've got it kind of slid up here. Put a little dielectric grease on there where the contact would be, where this is going to contact the fuselage mount points. And I've been sure that on the back side, on all four of the holes, that you can see that we have cut around so there's no of the blanket there. Okay, so, and then I've slid my little long rods in, and I kind of ground the ends off kind of like a bullet, and I made sure before I did it that the bolts slid easily through there, that there wasn't any powder coat or anything needed to be removed, you know, on the insides. And you just kind of get it started, and you'll see I keep a couple of spring clamps here for the bottom, so you can kind of push it on. And I just kind of look through the holes, and I do it all by myself, and just start the boot cowl on. And you may have to go on the inside, and you probably can't see it, but on the inside, this rod's coming through, and I've actually got a clamp on that side to hold the rod in so it doesn't pull out. It's just, I just put a spring clamp on it. No big deal. The bottom, as you can see, the top will want to stay up forward. The bottom's the part that kind of wants to tilt like that, you know, as you put it on. So just get it a little ways up, just get it started, and then get up in here. And the first thing I did was go up and try and get my two sensor wires for my mini sensors right here. I put those through, and you see they have to go through the clamshell. I actually did have to get the sander out, my little Dremel sander. I had to sand just a little bit and widen this hole through the firewall just a tad, or the sensors wouldn't fit sideways through. Then the sensor goes through this side, of course. And as we pull it through there, I've already got some friction tape on there to go through that. So this is going to eventually go over here after we get it on and then go through that clamshell. Then the next thing I do is I'll go ahead and run these as further as to reach to. So you just go in here, and as you pull the boot cowl, you know, up here, you can see you just go up in there. Actually up in here, I guess. I can get that far, I can't quite see. These attach over here, right there, you can see the grommet underneath the defroster. So all your coil wires, which I already had bundled, I knew that I had them bundled up here. I've got some friction tape on it. This is going to be about where it touches the boot cowl here, so it'll be on the inside. And just start fishing them through there one at a time, being sure you got them all, and then pull them out this way. You'll find these coil wires are so big that probably what you want to do is maybe only put about 2 coil wires through there to start with, even though they're the longest. That gives you more room through the grommet to start putting these through, you know, since you've got some fixtures to go through there with them, some connectors. So fish these all through, and then stick your coil wires, they stick back in, so get them all through there. When we get done with these, I'm gonna go back to the wiring chart. Here we've got the wiring chart, which is in my form manual. Again, this is through the firewall wires. I checked these before I put the boot cowl, making sure I had them all were there and accounted for. Every one of them checked off, they were all there. This one here, you'll note, was for they included in the wiring harness, but that's for the 340 engine with a carburetor. It's the Carb temp sensor, so we're not going to use it in the EX3. So if it's an EX3, then you're just going to, you know, push it out of the way. I go ahead and speed it through, and I'll just bundle it up on the other side, on the front side of the firewall, and get it out of the way. Also, you got this GEA 35A22. That's your fuel pressure wires, the little short ones that we put into the unit here, and those will not go through. You can see them right here. These are short, and these will be the kind of the last things we'll have to reach up, probably underneath there, and reach up and stick them through that hole there. So you turn back around, and you go ahead and put all your cables through. Probably your first ones you need to put through are your prop and your throttle, you know, cables. You'll have to take the hardware off the end of them, just put them over to the side to use later. So this will go through the grommets. You can see how this is the throttle on this side. This is prop on this side. The starter wire is the big wire. I'm going to show you on the other side of the boot cowl how that goes through the fuselage. And obviously this is the auxiliary heat, which is going to be this box right here. So this is going to end up coming around, this way, around this piece here and going to this box. This is your mixture control. This I've already previously mounted. It's going to be your fuel pressure sensor, which again, we're going to push that through here last. That's that little short wire we're going to attach to these wires. Alternatively, you could take these wires and run them through there and try to get up underneath that boot cowl and attach them now if you wanted to. I'm not sure. They used to make those little wires too short and they just barely stick out of here. You didn't have any room. Now they've added another 1.5 inches or so. So now they stick out enough so you can actually do it pretty nice on this side later. So anyway, then this is going to be your oil pressure sensor here. Just all tightened down later. If you want to hold the cable, one of the cables here. This is your regular normal heater cable going through here. And I guess that's pretty much it, for right now. So everything is through here. Before I push this thing completely on and get it ready to button it up, I'll go back through my wiring checklist and I'll again check every wire, make sure I've got them all through. Now is the time to find out, okay? I'll go back on the boot cowl side and kind of show you how these go through here. You can see, if I can get up in there, let me see. Over here, the thing we've got is we've got the heater. This is the duct for the defroster coming off the auxiliary box here. And you've got the prop and the mixture cable you can see here on either side, right here. So it's kind of sandwich it in. Where are we at? Here and here. Let's see, like that. You see those two cables coming off. Then above it, you've got other two cables. It's sandwiching in the scat up there. So basically, you've got. Well, I see what I'm looking at. That's the reflection over there. There's the one. So that's your throttle on the right and your prop on the left. Going through and up to the top there, you can see going over the top is a cable, and then through the bottom is a cable. So the one that's going through the top is actually your auxiliary heat, and then the other one is going to be the mixture, which is on the bottom side of it. That's just the way mine works. So you can see how you kind of put your scat up there where it goes between those two grommets. There's one, so because the cable is going to go above and below. And I guess that's about it. You see here, it's your starter wire. Let me back up and you can see here, you kind of see how your prop and throttle cables are running through here. So they're just kind of running underneath the fuselage tube here, see? Then here, and then they're staying to the outside of the fuselage here, because you will have your interior panel sitting on the inside up against this part here. You have to kind of be careful with some tie wraps here. You'll look at when you put the interior panel up there, it's got some pieces that goes over the top there, so we'll have to slide underneath the wiring. So you may have to adjust it later. You need to look at it now or later when you get ready to stick it on there. You may have to snip some of your tie wraps in some locations and slide it in there. Same thing with starter wire. You see here, it's actually coming and staying on the inside of the fuselage tubes. It's coming here, and then when it gets out here, it's going to the outside, and then it's going on over, out its hole over here. So that way, the same thing here. It's not going to be in the way when you put your interior panel, right here. This is the one that's going to go to your box inside the cockpit that we did for your defroster. So it's coming off of here like this, and it's coming down here. And here, they say you call for an Adele clamp to go right here. I just measured how far this was going to be from the boot cowl and down. I put it over there, put some friction tape, and I just zip tied it right there. And what it's going to do is it's going to go straight down right here, and it's going to attach to that box, and you can get to it easily later after you put the boot cowl in. So if you got your box over here, if I can get in there. So you got your box right here. We got all our hardware on it. This cable is going to attach to that later. Like I said, you can do that anytime later, because you're going to get to it from the inside before you put your interior panels. So that's about it. I'm going to check my wires, make sure they're all through. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to push the boot cowl back in slowly. And then I'm going to push those 3 wires, make sure they get out. And then I'll come back and I'm going to, as I get close, you can see I'll put some tape and I put it around the edge of the fabric spacer, the metal part. And then I measured how wide it was. I just kind of marked it. So I know when I put my boot cowl on, I just got to make sure I get it up to that line so I can have my edge. This is about 1/2 inch. And so we're going to come back in 1/4 inch, and that's where we want to put our boot cowl screws. So as I'm pulling and fitting the boot cowl, I'll fit it to where I'll have this marked so it's easy to see about that I've gone in far enough, my 1/2 inch when I pull it on both sides. I'll go around here and I'll show you again the inside. And same thing, you know, over here I've marked the edge of the boot cowl in there, so when I get it in here, I'll know. And then obviously here we're going to bring it up as far as we can to the edge, you know, of this, because we want the boot cowl, you know, just flush up to the edge of the door as we can. And this is where we're going to put our screws into this fabric spacer, which continues right on down. Here again, you can see how the starter wire there, the big white wire, and you see us on the back side of the fuselage tubes there, because your interior panel is going to go there. Up here, you've got enough room, because actually this piece is going to have a defroster duct even that's going to go up here and attach. So you got plenty of room here. It kind of goes away from the fuselage tubes. Another thing on the inside is on this side of the tubes, starter wires over there, and all the prop cables, the prop and the throttle cables you can see are all out of the way up there. This tube hanging down, that's a static, for my static line. And it looks good to me. So I'm gonna check my wires, make sure I for sure have them all through there as a double check. And then I'm gonna get some clamps, and I'll come back later. I'm gonna put some ratchet straps across here. I'm gonna run it and attach it probably to the back side of this. And it's gonna come up, and we're gonna attach it right here in this corner where it's kind of strong. I use the ones with the hooks you'll see in a little bit. We put it on there, and same thing on that side back over there. And you'll find that you are not going to get this boot cowl on without using those straps. We're not going to torque it down and bend everything, but we are going to put some pressure on it, push it with our hands and make sure it's fitting right, strap it a little bit. The straps more or less kind of holding what you're pushing, really is what you're doing. You're not horsing it with those straps, but you'll never get it pulled back all the way. I've never been able to get it to pull back just manually by hand to where it lines up. And those straps are nice because it can hold it in position. And when you drill your hole in Cleco to put your screws through the boot cowl here, it will help hold it in place while you do that. So anyhow, that's it. I'll be back later with part 2.